everybody, and welcome to the Remembering Akron podcast. I'm your host, Derek Maxfield, and today my guest is Stephanie Kossuth Coffta. Welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you.
It's nice for you to be with us. So let's start by talking about your background a little bit. You were born in 1972 in Batavia.
That's correct.
So you are kind of a child of the 70s, growing up in the 70s and early 80s. That was an interesting time, just after the Vietnam War.
And my dad was a Vietnam veteran, actually has a Purple Heart.
Yes, I understand that. We have a podcast with him, so that he's got
correct.
Such a wonderful story, too. I enjoyed talking with him. So growing up with a Vietnam vet for a father must have been an interesting experience.
Well,
What do you remember?
it's interesting because it was nothing that we ever really talked about we had just a really good life. Had pretty much, I have a sister named Dina, just had a really simple, awesome life. Had a pool, vacationed. Mm-hmm. It was awesome.
So, did you live in Batavia for long? Or did you pretty much grow up in Akron?
No, we grew up in Akron, yeah.
I see. And you went to the Akron schools?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You graduated from the Akron High School?
Yep, in 1990.
1990. So do you have any great memories from attending high school in Akron?
Oh, lots of them. I think I still have lots of good friends that I went to school with. One of the things, I'm a social worker, and so I work with a lot of teenagers, and I tell them, when in Akron, you walk in one side of the school as a kindergartner and out the other side as a senior. So they always find that amazing and ask me if I have cows in my yard. And I love, now that I have two kids, and I love the idea that everybody's in one place. Mm-hmm. Everybody follows the same schedule. We actually, my kids have some of the same teachers that we had. The librarian's the same person. It just is a nice hometown feel.
It is a nice thing. I went through a K-12 myself. My graduating class was 62. How about yours?
Yeah, I think I had 114.
Okay, that's a little bit bigger, but still, that's a pretty small class. Do you have memories of a high school sweetheart or a favorite prom?
Well, I'll share a little story about my husband, he's actually a year older than I am in school. But I was looking at an old yearbook, my senior yearbook, and there was something in it, said something like, oh, hey, maybe, we'll get together someday. Love, Jeff. I'm like, who the heck's that? And it ended up being Jeff, my husband. So, we had known each other throughout school, but, got together afterwards.
Nice.
But I like the idea of, my parents grew up with people who they were still friends with now. The kids grew up. We are still friends now. Our kids are growing up, with people that they'll, hopefully continue to have relationships with.
Nice.
Even when they're grown.
Yeah.
And I like that idea. My sister had a son with Peter's Dam, which is kind of a rare eye birth defect. And when that happened, the whole community came together for us, supported us, were with us. And, he's fine now, had cornea transplants, and,
I see.
And everything's fine now. But that's what's great about living in a town like this.
They rally.
Yeah, always.
That's wonderful. Now, you've told me a little bit about your father, but you haven't told me much about your mother. Can you fill in for us about your mom?
So, my mom she passed away about a year and a half ago, but she was, thank you, born and bred in Akron. Very into the community, too. She was part of the church, part of the fire company, the auxiliary. Her dad was part of the fire company. Brothers were all chiefs. Huge community advocate. And so I think that's why we've all kind of stayed here and why we have such a sense of home also here.
And do you think that any indication, your children are still kind of young, Lucy's 7 and Aiden is 13. One of the things about Western New York is young people tend to fly the coop. Mm-hmm. They find the small towns a little bit boring. I guess it's too young to know yet how your kids are going to go with that.
Well, after the morning we had today, I would be okay with them maybe leaving, but in general, I don't know. It's
Well,
they are little, so we'll see.
Well, tell me about Lucy.
Well, she's crazy.
I see.
She's her name is Lucy Ever, and we used to tell people she was Lucifer's cute baby sister. She is, I have two ADHD kids, so they're a little bit crazy and energetic and wonderful. Both very smart, both involved in a lot of things in the community, very active in church and community activities, but also well known in the community too.
Nice. Does she have something favorite at this stage? My Little Pony or?
Oh, what does she like? She likes my cell phone. That's what she likes. Anything that has to do with cell phones, she likes. But she's just started cheerleading again yesterday.
All right.
In the community, they have like Little League football. She does that. She does rock. What else does she do? We just had a community church event that she was in the dunk tank. So she's somebody who likes to be kind of out and involved in everything.
I might have witnessed her get dunked, come to think of it.
Oh, she was the only little girl there, so that would be Lucy.
All right.
She's well known to be a little bit on the crazy side.
All right, and Aiden?
So Aiden's 13. He unfortunately broke his arm in the Adirondacks on 4th of July at Boy Scout camp, so he's a little bit laid up this summer. But he's, again, participates a lot in church activities. He likes to play sports. Laid up this summer, unfortunately, but very bright, high honor roll kind of kid.
Wow, okay. And he obviously likes Boy Scouts.
Yes.
Except for the broken arm.
No, he didn't like that too much.
No, I'll bet not. He didn't do that from zip lining, right?
Nope, mountain biking.
Okay. So I understand that you are a UB grad.
I am.
Tell me a little bit about that. Why'd you choose UB?
Well, I think, I was in love, so I had to stay here to be with,
Yeah.
that boy that was many boys before Jeff, who I married.
Okay.
So I liked UB, wanted to stay home. I don't know why, but,
Did you spend most of your time on the North Campus?
Yes.
I see.
So went to UB, always wanted to do something in psychology.
All right.
Then didn't get into the grad school that I wanted, and, a mentor suggested I look into social work, said it's much more marketable than kind of the psychology I wanted to go into. So I went into that.
And you got your MSW from UB.
I did.
Do you have a favorite professor or somebody that you remember that was instrumental in your education?
I don't even remember. It's
Really?
so long ago. Yeah, 97 I graduated. Oh my gosh.
All right. About the same time I graduated, I think it was. So we must have been on the campus at the same time there, it sounds like. So after you have your degrees, you've become a professional social worker then?
I worked for Catholic Charities for 13 years.
Oh.
So I worked in the homes of parents whose kids were at risk for placement for behavior disorders. So I would work with the parents, the schools, the courts, whoever's involved, try to keep the kids at home with their parents. And then about 8 years ago, I went into private practice in Williamsville, and I've been doing that for the past 8 years.
In private practice. Now, why did you decide to go that route?
Well, I decided it was time to make a little money, and unfortunately can't do that with Catholic Charities, even though I loved the program.
Okay.
And then I wanted a little more freedom with my schedule. I was getting a little hard with having Aiden was my only child at that point, and was working a lot of nights, and getting into, I could be anywhere in Erie County, so getting into some scarier homes, getting into some gang violent kind of activities with some of these kids, and it was starting to feel a little scarier having my own child and being in places and situations that didn't feel safe and having no kind of control over what I did or didn't take or what I kind of accepted around the cases. So I felt it was time to do something a little bit different.
Social work is one of those fields that can be incredibly frustrating, but people tell me that they find so rewarding.
I love it. And I've met, amazing people and amazing clients.
Wonderful. So I understand that you're quite involved in the Methodist Church here in Akron.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about that.
So I grew up in this church. I was baptized here and married here. I left for a short period of time, and then came back. And so I said Ada was baptized somewhere else, but then came back when I was pregnant with Lucy, and I've been here ever since. And then I became the lay leader, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And I've been...
How did that come about?
So the last person left, and when I came back into the church, wanted to take on a little more active role, and they just thought I'd be a good fit for it.
And you've done that for 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
Said. What do you find most rewarding about that?
I like to help when there's conflict, or when people want to see something change or something happen, but they're not so comfortable being able to go up to the pastor, up to someone in leadership. I like being the one that kind of helps be the go-between. Mm-hmm. And being a social worker, I think it's a little easier for me also to be the one to communicate when there is a problem in a way that somebody else can hear it. That's not so confrontational. Not that I always do it the best, because at times...
Well, you do the best you can.
Yes, that's true.
But it does sound like your preparation fits that role quite well. You also are involved with the Right Center.
Yes, this is a new role for me. Walt has been the director, and he recently retired. So I've just been in that role for about a month now. Uh-huh. So this is a new role. We're going to see how I do with that.
Well, I understand it's going to take 6 people to replace Walt.
That's true, yes. So when he talked about leaving, he had asked me if I wanted to be the director, and I said there's no way with everything else that I could even think about it. So I said I think in a perfect world we would have a huge kind of a bunch of people doing it, and he would be like the Wizard of Oz, like the guy behind the curtain, kind of directing us all. So luckily he's going to continue to have an active role here, because he is the Right Center.
Yeah, I get that impression. So let me ask you some more difficult questions.
Oh, geez.
So you're raising 2 young children in a fast-changing world. Mm-hmm. And I think I would say that while you're sheltered a little bit in a nice small town like this, when you look at the national scene, politics and world events, there's a lot of trouble out there. A lot of things that might worry somebody of our age with young children. Changes in technology that we might not yet understand, changes with social media and how people communicate.
Right.
We know that kids process information differently than we do.
Right.
So if you're looking down the road, 20, 25 years, what would you say would be the advantages for your children, or the things that you would want to caution them about?
Well, I think they're often one and the same. I often talk to my clients, our strengths are often our greatest weaknesses. I think it's great that, we're able to find so much information, through our phones, through our computers. But I also find that having the ability to do that can make us crazy. I think I fight every single day with my kids about the amount of time that they're on their phones, that are our phones, how much they want access to these things. So that's the scary thing, knowing, Lucy's 7, the first thing she wants, can I have your phone? Can I, or I'll leave my phone with her and she's watching something that seems pretty innocent, and before I know, I'll hear the F word on something. She starts with Cookie Swirl C, and before you know it, she's accidentally come onto something pretty scary. That is scary. I also think, we're very polarized out in the world. I get a little bit nervous about, is it safe? Like, we just had a shooting at a garlic festival. In the background you heard someone say, who shoots at a garlic festival? who shoots at a garlic festival? You know, my husband is a huge hunter. Aiden's a hunter. He, when he turned 12, he got to go on his first turkey hunt. Part of the culture of our family is we are really into hunting. It is hard sometimes to be out in the world and for people to kind of find that balance of that you could be somebody who hunts and still feel like find that middle ground of like we want people to be safe, but we want people to also be able to hunt. We want people to have phones, and we don't want them to, use them inappropriately. And I think we're becoming very polarized, and I worry as we continue to split what that's going to mean. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So what do you think the world's going to look like 40 years from now?
I feel like it's going to be even more split.
Yeah. You don't think that we'll be able to find somebody to bring us back together again?
Oh, I hope we do. I would like that.
All right, so the most difficult question of all.
Oh, jeez. Even more hard than that?
So, a couple generations from now, your grandchildren are telling their children about you, remembering you. What would you hope that they would say?
Oh, I would hope they would say that, my grandma was super cool and loving and made us laugh and was cool AF. Can I say that? Because that's really what I want them to say. Because that's how I want people. I always say, like, I'm the kind of person that I like the bracelet that says, I love Jesus. I just say the F word a lot. And that's how I want people to remember me.
All right. I think that's a great answer. And on that note, I will thank you, Stephanie, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening in, and remember to tune in to the next episode of Remembering Akron.